Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, Fountain Pen Therapy. Come state? State bene? Io sto benissimo. I'm really doing well. In fact, I'm pleasantly overwhelmed. I'm back from vacation and, I wasn't able to really get into any further reviews while I was away in Europe. And upon my return, I decided to order a slew of pens. They're all Chinese brand pens. And I got to tell you, they're all presenting controversy and fun at the same time. And I find it fascinating. And I hope you can appreciate them as well. You know, whether it's Mahjong, whether it's Jinnah, and now this other pen maker, Wingsung. They're all trying really hard to evolve, but yet there's a lot of déjà vu in what they're putting out. So it's a lot of fun. It's fountain pen therapy of some sort in any event. I'm having an absolute blast. I'm having a hard time keeping up, frankly. But in any event, this review will be reviewing the Wingsung 630. So a really fascinating Chinese offering. Please stay tuned. We'll go to my overhead camera and we'll take a detailed look at this pen. So here we're back with the pen. Here it is. And, I got to tell you, I really like this pen. I mean, if there's anything that comes close to my Mont Blanc 149, this is it. Here it is. Here's the Mont Blanc 149. And I got to tell you, I'm just going to give you a brief look here because, God, they're really similar. And this thing cost me $1,200, and this thing cost me, I don't know, what did it cost me, 50, 60 bucks Canadian? Now, I will be doing a complete comparison of some of the most recent imitations of this 149. So I'm not going to get into all the details. I prefer that you take a look at the detailed comparison video once it's out. But all to say that, man, oh man, does it resemble. Now, having said that, what makes it similar, I think in terms of weight, I weighed them. And again, the comparison video will give it all the details. It's probably the exact weight. Okay, I measured two parts apart and they are exactly the same weight. So they've gone to that extent, if you know what I mean. Now, let's look at this pen for what it has. First of all, the camera's not cooperating. Here we go. Nice clip, gold trimmings. The clip is a little bit stiff, but does its job. The typical cigar shaped. It has 3 rings here. It's got a band, and on that band we see the Wingsung 630 etched with made in China. Okay, it's got 2 smaller bands or rings, decorative rings around the main band. Shapes down like a torpedo with a 1 ring there. Now, that's essentially, had we had that white, the white logo there, you would have thought it was a 649, I've got to tell you. So the resin feels heavy. It doesn't feel plasticky. It really is nice. I've got to tell you, worth every penny. Now, let's open it up. Well, first of all, how many turns? 1.5. So it's a 1.5 turns. That's exciting for those of you who enjoy that. The piston, there you go. It's inside, Piston Filler, so there's no converter there. And you've got a window, an ink window there that gives you the right time of day to see where your ink level is, which is very practical. Okay. Now, in terms of that nib, the nib looks very nice, and we'll see whether or not it lives up to its to what it's supposed to. do. It's a Vincenzo number 6 nib, I would say, and double toned or dual toned. Now, before I'd like to make a comparison. Just give me a second. I'll come back with another pen. Yeah, sorry, I'm back. The reason for that is that I think I made a major error here, in my view. I said this was a number 6 size nib. It's not. It's a size 8, if not even bigger. If you compare it to, I'm comparing these. This is the Jinao X159 number 8 size nib. So you could see that this Vincenzo is also an 8 size. Now it is a little bit longer, probably because it's just not as it hasn't been pushed in as much given the whole unit, so it sticks out a little more. But it is a big. It looks like a big juicy nib. Let's just hope that it writes like one. There you go, and I'll be right back. One more thing that I omitted about this nib, and it's a fine nib, by the way. We'll see how it writes. You know by now, if you've listened to my channel, that I don't appreciate fine nibs, or God forbid, extra fine. I don't think I'd have many extra fine nibs in the hundreds of pens that I have in my collection. I may have only just a handful. Medium is as far as I'd like to go, but doesn't come in medium, so I have to stick with fine. We'll see if I need to work this nib or not. What I propose is that we ink this beauty here and just take it on the fly and see what happens. And if I need to adjust it, I will make the adjustments, and you'll see the adjustments as they happen. Okay, so let's proceed with the writing sample. Now, it just occurred to me that before we do the writing sample, I do want to give you an idea of, just to do a quick size comparison, okay? Let's put back our 630. Here we go, and we'll do our best here to show you, or give you an idea of their size. First of all, this is my Nettuno 1911. This is my Stipula Etruria Rainbow. This is my Jinao X159. This is my Mont Blanc 149. Here's the 630, the Vincenzo, subject of this review. And here is my Moonman or Mahjong 136, which really is supposed to be an imitation of the 146, if you will. So definitely see a smaller size there. But you can see how it compares. Obviously, the Nettuno, being a much smaller pen, is the one that takes maybe a little bit of a backseat. Otherwise, pretty much equal there. And like I said, these three will form a part. I think I have no choice but to do an in-depth comparison of all these three and maybe do a shootout and declare a winner, if you will. Okay, there you go. So that's the size comparison, or the size comparison, or size, not a detailed one, but a brief look at it. In terms of the writing sample, well, first of all, we'll be using this ink, which is the Scribo Verde Mediterraneo. I think is just bang on in terms of color matching. We'll see how it does on paper, but that's the ink I'm going to be using. So let's proceed to ink this beauty, and then so we can go ahead and do our writing sample. So here's my cloth. This is not a shimmering ink, so there's no need to, let me just, there we go. We'll dip tap sucker in. That's one. That's two. And that's three, so that should do it. Okay, there we go. All set. So give me a chance. I will show you the notebook we'll be using, and we'll right back. Okay, so here's the notebook we'll be using. The notebook that I've been using for the last several reviews is a Tomoe River notebook put together by Wonderland 222 that you can purchase either on their website or on Etsy. Beautiful notebook. It is meant to be exactly the same as the Obenichi in terms of paper size, A5, etc., except without all the writing and the extra stuff that you see on all the pages in the Obenichis. And it's a free day style, so you can put in your own date, so you're not limited to 1 day, 1 page situation like you are with the Obenichi. So it's become my preference for my daily agenda, just because it gives me that flexibility. So there you have it. So that's the notebook. So let's see what this nib does for us. Okay. Now I have not tested it, so I have no idea what will come out of this. So let's give it a go. Wow. I can tell you this is a wow right off the bat, because if this is a fine, I like fine. So this is a number 8 size nib. And it's a fine. So it's also the model of the pen that I forgot to mention is the 630, and it's in this teal blue, if you will. So if the color doesn't come out proper through the camera, etc., in some screens this may appear to be like a light blue. It's not. It's a teal. There you have it. Now, in terms of the nib, I got to tell you, it is absolutely perfect, and it's a gusher, a real gusher. It is more than constant. In fact, it's almost uncontrollable, if you will. It does not skip a beat. It just follows through. It just smooth. There's very little feedback, if any. It's buttery smooth, I got to tell you. So this nib is smooth, very smooth, in fact, most constant. And it's a gusher. And he can even brings out, look at the beautiful, there's some shading in this ink from Scribble, which I really, really like. And this nib just brings it out beautifully. So you know what, folks, we got another winner here. I got to tell you, I'm sorry for those who don't believe in, knockoffs and all the rest of it. And I know that it's tough to swallow. But look, my 149 cost me $1,200 Canadian. I mean, it's overpriced. It's overrated. And this thing cost me $60. I'm sorry, but you know what? We'll do that comparison. We'll come out with the winner. Okay? So this is it. Now, in terms of my rating, let's take a look at this. Well, design. This is where it fails, right? So design, I got to tell you, I'm going to go with, they copied. So I can't give it more than 6. 6 is just for the effort. And the effort, because even down to the weight, they got it even down to the weight. Let me tell you, it's just incredible. In terms of build quality, I have not been able to see any. Look, I'm not an engineer. I'm not, a manufacturer. I know that some of our reviewers really get into the type of resin and if it's injected molded, and to see whether or not they see any seams and all of it. Personally, I don't have that expertise, and I don't pretend to. All I can tell you is that from what I can see, this pen is well built. So I'm going to give it a 10. In terms of the nib, now this is not a Yowo nib. It's not a Bach nib. It's a Winsung nib. And in the past, I've been very disappointed with the Winsung nibs, to the point where no matter how much work I put into it to fine-tune them, I could never get them to any acceptable level. And this one, I'm sorry, but it's just right out of the box. 10 on 10 in my opinion. In terms of value, well, at the $50, $60, I've got to give it a 10 on 10. In terms of whether or not it's a go-to pen, for a fine, and for Vincent or Vincenzo to say that it's become a go-to pen for himself, 10 on 10, folks. I mean, even with a fine, this thing writes just beautifully. So there you have it. That's my review. I hope I've entertained and informed you, and hopefully added to there's so many other reviews of this pen, and give you my own point of view, and you can of course make up your own mind. But like the Jinao 9190, I'm going to go out and buy other colors of this pen, because it's going to become a go-to pen. So I want a red one for my red writing. I want a blue one and a black one if it exists. I don't know. I think there's only 3 colors. So chapeau, as they say to Winsung, you've done it. I've not spent the money for the gold nib, but folks, I'm getting tempted. Thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. Be well.